Ethiopia, where Ethiopian Airlines has unveiled a $50 million expansion of its domestic terminal in Addis Ababa. This is more than doubling its capacity to accommodate rising passenger numbers amid a tourism boom and over 200 daily domestic flights. Meanwhile, Ethiopia is in discussions with the Export-Import Bank of China to secure funding for the proposed Bishoftu International Airport, aimed at easing congestion at the main entry point and further expanding the nation's aviation infrastructure. For more on this, we joined on the line by Mered Fikireyohannes. He is CEO of Pragma Investment Advisory. A very good afternoon to you, Mered. Good to have you with us once again.
Pleasure to be on the show again. Thank you.
So Mered, how significant is this new terminal in the broader growth strategy of Ethiopian Airlines?
Well, this is very much important. I think the reason they want to expand the domestic operation is two reasons. Number one is the airport right now, the capacity is operating at a full capacity, both on the international and then at the same time on the domestic side. It's already accommodating up to 19 million passengers annually. At the same time, because of the internal instability in some of security problems and around the country, people are more preferring to use Ethiopian Airlines instead of vehicles or any other means of transportation. So that added a lot of pressure on the domestic traffic side in terms of people booking tickets in advance. Sometimes it's getting a bit harder to get a ticket within a domestic flight within a week. And the other reason is the Ethiopian Airlines. I mean, since they are the only dominant player within the domestic aviation sector for quite a long time. They have been building a number of airports to interconnect the country with the capital of Addis Ababa. So that also adding a huge traffic as well. So with all this, I think expanding the domestic domestic airport was very critical.
And how does this then position Ethiopian Airlines against its regional competitors, the likes of Kenya Airways and South African Airways?
Yeah, I mean, it purely doubled down the momentum that Ethiopian Airlines have already gotten, right? Because mind you, Ethiopia it's the double size of Kenya, and then at the same time is one of the largest operator airline company in Africa, and mind you, and on top of that, it's building a $12 billion mega airport just down the capital city, just 40 kilometers down to Bishoftu, which is expected to be finalized after 4 years, which will accommodate up to 110 million passengers when the second phase is completed. The first phase is expected to be completed by 2028 or early 2029. At least it would accommodate up to 60 million passengers annually. So with all of this capital expenditure, I think it's going to position Ethiopian Airlines as the biggest airline company, which not only connect Ethiopia but also connect the entire continent with the rest of the world and the rest of the world with the entire continent. Mind you, the Ethiopian Airlines also is also a minority shareholder in most of the major airline companies outside of Ethiopia as well, like DRC, also Nigeria, and also other Southern African, Central Africans, and also Western Africans airline companies.
So let's look at the deal, Mered. There are discussions that are currently underway with the Export-Import Bank of China. How much do we know about this? How far gone are these discussions? And are they likely to be on commercial terms versus concessional lending? And I ask this also in the backdrop of the current global financial condition.
Oh, that's a really good point that you mentioned. So let me say this. This has been a question that has been raised by the creditors and also investors, debt financiers across the world. So Ethiopian Airlines, at this point, it's safe to say, and I can say this confidently, it's by itself as a country. Okay, it has its own standard credit rating. It has its own different, stronger balance sheet. It operates and contributes a revenue of almost 10% of the GDP of Ethiopia. So, any creditor, they're not worried about in terms of defaults or delays of payment. In fact, what Ethiopian Airlines has done is, the new airport is going to be first, they will create a special purpose vehicle whereby the new debt is going to be signed on the new SPAC, on the new special purpose vehicle company, which later on paid from the future earning is going to get. And because Ethiopian Airlines that is not attached with the Ministry of Finance and will not get any guarantee from Ministry of Finance of Ethiopia. So it has its own good credit standing, it has its own strong balance sheet, it has its own credit facilities with the like of JP Morgan, Citibank, and also other private creditors. So that by itself has given it a strong credibility to amass up to look for $9 billion. And as much as possible, the airline is as much as possible trying to onboard creditors on a commercial term, by the way, not on a concessional level. But one of the things that Ethiopian Airlines, the project team, they're pushing forward is if the contractor comes with the financer, usually export country agency financing, whereby the Export-Import Bank of China on board with the contractor. So the Ethiopian Airlines is willing to give award the contract to the Chinese company if they bring on the finance as well. So that way, it makes it so much easier to build a facility, because mind you, the whole contract value is going to reach up to $9 billion. So that by itself is going to alleviate not only the construction element but also the financing element as well. So that's the ideal outcome that the airline company is working, and this is the same case. Because the Chinese companies have done quite a number of airports, including the recent one is in Bahrain, which almost accommodated up to 100 million passengers. So they have quite a number of experience. That's what the Ethiopian Airlines, they're trying to mimic as well for the Bishoftu International Airport as well.
Mered Fikireyohannes, always a pleasure speaking with you this afternoon. Thank you for that update as far as the developments with Ethiopian Airlines and their expansion plans, wanting and their ambitions really to be the continental aviation hub. Thank you so much, sir. That's Mered Fikireyohannes, the CEO of Pragma Investment Advisory. Let's head over now to the markets desk for the latest market indicators. And joining us for this afternoon is Bontle Hedbosch.
Get the news, music, and